What it is, what it do, cyber world. It is your girl, the one, the only, Ash said it. AshSaidIt.com, AshSaidIt.com. Welcome to the Ash Said It Daily Podcast Show. I appreciate you guys for all of your love and support. Over 1,700 episodes and 500,000 streams worldwide. None of this would be possible without you guys, so I thank you so very, very much. And yes, we're having a pretty good day, pretty decent day here in the A-Town, Atlanta, Georgia. And I have the pleasure of speaking with today anthropologist, ecologist, and now author, the wonderful Philip A. Loring. Philip.
Hi, how are you?
I am great. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm well, thank you. I'm calling you from Maine, and it's a lovely, beautiful, warm day.
Ooh, it sounds like it's good. So you guys are definitely into, kind of like us in Georgia. You're getting into that summer season. It's starting to warm up, and stuff is starting to bloom.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, cool beans. All right, so Philip, your new book, Finding Our Niche. What was the motivation behind this project?
Well, I sat down first to write Finding Our Niche because as over the years of working on issues about the environment, issues about how to better conserve nature, how to better minimize our footprint, stop environmental damage, issues like climate change, I noticed that a lot of people seemed to get really sort of feel like there wasn't a lot they could do, that environmental problems were too big to solve. And while thinking about that, climate change is enormous and I'm just one person. Deforestation is enormous and I'm just one person. And while I was realizing that, I was also spending time as an anthropologist, as you said, and ecologist, learning about projects around the world where people are having really, really excellent impacts. They're working with the environment. They're conserving and improving biodiversity while also improving food security and producing food and building community. And so I saw all these good news stories, all these examples where people in nature thrive together, and it seemed so contradictory to me to the way that everybody feel powerless and helpless. So I wrote the book to sort of change the way we talk about it and say, this doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. We are not sort of doomed to being destroyers of the planet. There's options, and here's what we can learn from them.
Okay, cool. Now, what were some of the key principles that you wanted to make sure that this book addressed?
Sure. Well, there's a few, and they're sort of tied up, in ecology concepts that don't have to be complicated unless we make them complicated. It's really about working together and realizing that the ways that we can sort of right the wrongs we're doing, the rules for how to produce our food better or for how to manage our water better, that they're all around us. They're in the world around us. And so it's like there's a rule book built into the planet that we all call home. And so some of those are words like mutualism. Some of them are words like keystone. And without having to spend a whole lot of time talking about the details of all of them, the point is that just like a beaver has a place in an ecosystem, just like an elephant has a place in an ecosystem, people can too. And we've sort of forgotten that. We've started acting like no matter what we do, we're always going to cause harm. So we always have to limit our impacts. But if we just think about what our niche is, in the same way we recognize a beaver's niche is to build a dam and to build a lodge, and when they do that, they create habitat for ducks and for fish and for other animals, and it's a win-win. People can be like that too. And so that's the key message, if there is one, is that win-win scenarios are possible.
So how long did it take for you to come up with the concept for the book and complete it? How long did that take?
Well, so I wanted to write this book for a long time, as I said, and I kept sitting down to try to write it. I looked at it when I finally finished the book in, I think, 2018. I looked at the date on one of my very first drafts of a very first file, and it was dated 2012. And that's 6 years. And, right? Yeah. Because every time I sat down to write it, I couldn't, or I got stuck, and I felt like there was something missing, but I didn't know what that was. Until I realized that I couldn't just write a book. If I wanted to connect with people, I couldn't just write a book that was about ecology concepts or science concepts or stories from halfway around the world that people can't connect with. It wasn't until I realized I had to tell my own story too. How I went from I used to live in Florida, I went from being a computer programmer in Florida, realizing that I wanted to make a difference, moved to Alaska, learn about the environment, become an anthropologist, learn ecology, and learn what my role could be in helping to solve problems. And learn there was place for me in my own self until I realized I had to tell that story too, to connect. I wasn't ready to write it.
Gotcha. Now, while you were writing the book, were there any new concepts or anything while you're writing that you had to rewrite because something changed and maybe there was something on the news or maybe there was a new development in the world?
Yeah, there were several. I mean, and the most recent, I think, was when I was finishing up the revision of the book. We were entering a global pandemic, and that made me take some of the words and ideas like isolation and community and family and relationships and health. It made me rethink all of those concepts because all of a sudden I was confronted by a story happening around the world that showed us how much more connected we all are than I think we realize. Even if we don't see each other, we're still connected. And so I had to address that, and I do in a couple of places, and then I wrote a whole afterword to the book that addressed it directly. That talked about, even it's all a work in progress. The ideas in the book are all a work in progress, and they keep changing as the world changes around us.
Right. Absolutely right. Now, last but certainly not least, what is your hope for readers of this book?
Well, my hope for readers of this book, I think there's lots of different things that maybe somebody might take out of the book. Maybe somebody will read the book and be a little bit more hopeful about themselves. Maybe somebody will read the book and learn something they didn't know before about wolves or about beavers or about forests.
Right.
There's lots of different things that individuals, depending on where they are in their story, their own personal life story, that they might take. But if there's just one thing, it's that I convince a few people that we don't have to just act like we're villains destined to destroy the planet, that there's options for us, and we don't have to feel so alienated from nature, so divided, so separated.
I love it. Philip A. Loring, thank you so much for joining us today. Absolutely appreciate that. Finding Our Niche is the book, you guys. And Philip, where can people get the book?
The book is available wherever books are sold. I always promote local booksellers. Any of them can order it, but you can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Indie Books, wherever they're sold.
I love it. And, of course, we love our planet, and we want to make sure that we're treating Mother Nature just right and doing everything that we should be doing. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for all of your love and support. Keeping in mind, anyone to tell you that you can't do what you want to do. You look them square in the face. You tell them, don't believe me. Just watch. Watch what I do. Watch me make it happen. Watch me make history. That's what we're doing this for, the history books. Social media is nice, but real life is so much better. Until next time, you guys.